Welcome to my review of the RadRunner Plus from Rad Power Bikes. This bike is priced at $1,899 US, and I bought this thing myself. It is advertised as a true car replacement / do-it-all e-bike featuring cargo capacity, passenger carrying ability, a treasure trove of accessories you can purchase, and this is all backed by Rad Power Bikes and their reputation for great customer service. It is an upgrade over the regular RadRunner, the 1, the 2, I can't really keep up. It has suspension forks, a multi-speed drivetrain, and multiple included passenger-related accessories including foot pegs, wheel skirts, and a nicely padded rear seat. I personally looked at upgrading the lower model RadRunner before quickly discovering I couldn't even get the parts for the price difference offered by Rad. The bike has attachment points all over the place, under the passenger seat for and other accessories. It's got front rack attachment points, 2 sets of water bottle braze-ons for that center console. You can see my other review or anything else you want to put in there. It's got just lots of places to put stuff, which is great. As far as specifications go, just a few high points here. As always, all of my specification data measured by myself is down in the description. The 20 by 3 inch tires have a lot of the benefits of fat tires without some of the drawbacks. The ride is generally good, as is grip, with the bonus of some light off-road capability. The suspension fork does a nice job, and the lockout comes in handy for smooth path riding. Rad does a really nice job with their brakes. They feel better than a regular Textro Aries mechanical disc brake, and they bring this big old beast of a bike to heel quickly, as you'll see in my braking tests. The 7-speed Shimano Altus in the rear is nothing fancy, but it does a fine job. The right-hand twist throttle has a good feel, and as a bonus, you even get full throttle and assist level 0, which is not that common these days. The high point with this bike is really the pedal assist system. Unlike most budget e-bikes, the amount of force is actually connected to your speed. This can make acceleration feel slow in assist levels 1 and 2, but the benefit is a super smooth engagement of the assist with a slight delay in engaging and disengaging like you get with any cadence sensor. Speaking of the pedal assist, here's a chart of the speeds I saw in each pedal assist mode. I find myself spinning out about 22 to 23 miles per hour on the display, and 24 was the maximum I could really get this bike up to via the display. My GPS data showed me that this was really from 19 to 21 miles per hour. I did change the default top speed, first thing I did out of the box, up to the maximum before this review. I kind of found at the top speed this bike is a little squirrely, so if you're really looking at a bike you're going to ride over 20 miles per hour regularly, I would suggest looking at a different bike. So from a ride quality standpoint, the ride on this e-bike is really not that much like a bike at all. It's more on the moped motorcycle side of the spectrum. I personally like to ride long distances, and that is really not a strong suit of this bike. My 30-mile range tests were a literal pain in the ass. In my opinion, this bike is really best suited to 5 to 10 mile jaunts around town. If that is your need, then I don't think there are that many bikes that can do it better than this style of bike. I just want to talk briefly about the geometry of this bike. It's one of the harder things to really convey and show you how it's different than a lot of bikes. And I'll kind of demonstrate that by you sitting on the bike in a couple different spots. One thing to mention about this seat, it's not a typical seat. You can't really interchange it using the seat post, though it is a 27.2 millimeter post. So you can obviously put on another post, and we have done that, put on a more comfortable seat. Then you have some challenges with using the flat part of the seat back here. It does help the comfort a little bit, but still the distance between the handlebars because of these angles is a little goofy. My understanding is the RadRunner 2, they adjusted this a little bit to widen this space, so that should be helpful. But I'm just going to show you. So I'm going to get somewhere close to what like a comfortable leg extension is for me. And what you can see there is, even though I'm in a good spot for reaching the pedals and pedaling, I'm barely able to touch the ground. And I'm actually very close to the handlebars, even though I could tip them out a little bit more. Now what I find for me is one of the most comfortable ways to ride it is actually ride it like this. You can't really sit on the seat because then you're just really crunched up in here. It's that kind of moped style. So I tend to sit back a little bit, and that's pretty comfortable, and this has got more padding than the seat does. Then this does allow you to have a passenger, because you can slip forward for the passenger, when that's a little bit harder when the seat's up. So anyway, geometry on this is just a little bit tricky. Hope that helps you kind of visualize some of that. From my performance results were really equal to most 500 watt bikes. With this motor, the drop in acceleration when you throw a passenger on really is noticeable. The nice thing about this bike with having a passenger is the throttle is not jerky at all from a stop. This bike is advertised as a 750 watt bike, though the maximum wattage I ever saw displayed on the display was 750. The hill climb results were more along the lines of 500 watt e-bikes. This bike has more than enough range, in my opinion, for just about everybody out there. My range results were just over 41 miles riding at a really slow recreational pace, 10 to 15 miles per hour, and around 23 miles when I just went throttle only, trying to ride at nearly top speed most of the time. So all in all, I think this is a really solid option. I think it's cool to have a lot of these bikes with all these attachment points that Rad's doing. It really starts to become less of a bike and more of like a vehicle replacement. I think that's a really awesome feature about it. The right person, I think this bike could just be amazing. If you really like the console, I had the front rack. You know, there's a lot of things about this bike that could really appeal and really be helpful for replacing a car. And it's a really interesting bike. I'm glad I bought it. I'm glad I get to review it. It's been fun to look at, been fun to tool around on, and I put 160 miles on this thing. So this review is coming from a place that I put some miles on this, so I really have a feel for it. And unfortunately, it just doesn't work for me. So hopefully this review helps you out. If you have comments about this bike, please let me know. Questions, anything. I'll try to help out, try to answer all the comments. I really appreciate you watching. Take it easy.